privilege and an honor to be able to speak on a subject which I feel passionate about, mainly sustainable architecture and GOZO. I am Godwin Sultana. I'm an architect and civil engineer who grew up in the suburbs of Michigan and received an architectural degree from a university at the doorstep of the city of Detroit. A huge juxtaposition from that of a heavily industrialized city to the wooded island I grew up in. More recently, I furthered my studies to include environmental sustainability and management. The reason I mention this is not to allure to a great journey song or justify my accent, but to appreciate my perspective of the built environment and how it affects my perception of the potential of GOZO. In a research study I carried out, I investigated a proactive policy and a design guidance as a key driver in Malta for realizing consistent practices in the built environment, which inherently and systematically facilitate environmentally sustainable architecture. The research aimed at evaluating various strategies in policy making, regulation, and guidance, and its effect and at producing quality infrastructure, measure progress towards climate adaptation and mitigation, and also analyze perception and willingness to adapt and address the climate change challenge. In order for policy and regulation to be effective towards mitigation, adaptation, and sustainable design, transparent and systematic assessment tools need to be incorporated within the decision-making process. On the heels of several skyscraper permits that are destined to alter the architectural landscape significantly for generations to come, the process of evaluating environmental impacts is fresh on the mind of the population. Being Gozitan, the greatest environmental aspect, land scarcity, is all too well understood. It must be entwined within our national policy and our planning framework that whatever we build must be built to the highest sustainability standards. As any development in such a sensitive archipelago, developments needs to be built in line with rigorous, accountable guidelines that are linked to an articulate master plan. Important criteria must be satisfied by proposals that address sustainability aspects that are clearly established through structured assessment, monitored and audited in a system which is systematically approved upon. But all this must not be an excuse to leave GOZO behind. It must be an opportunity to showcase the island's natural and cultural beauty and the ability of our talented community to overcome the challenges it faces. The results have shown that as a member state, we are following top-down regulation through directives. As a society, the willingness to affect sustainable architecture and protect our environment is strong, and indicators are showing that bottom-up approach ranks as good, but with little effort, minor alterations can be done to the current framework we operate and practice in to achieve urgent, imperative, sustainable communities. Although success towards sustainable architecture through policy and regulation is evident, the dynamics of the built environment in Malta on the ground seem different. Large gaps in the built environment towards sustainable architecture and interactions for sustainability are inherently present. In order to mitigate such barriers, Malta must clearly align policy and regulation to efficiently transpose the overall spirit of sustainability. Affecting some change is not enough to equate comprehensive policy for the outcome of sustainable design. One of the key messages in my study is that in order for architecture to be considered sustainable, adaptation, mitigation, and resilience must be on the forefront of its criteria. The foundations are there, as Planning Authority mentions them in the latest guidance and as energy performance certificates are structured. But are they facilitating better designs to our built environment? The rationales of sustainable design reach the singular goal of mitigating climate change to include setting the stage for the future, the sustaining of our community, and aspiring still further to improve the quality of our lives. There are plenty of solutions that will allow us to live comfortably within the means of our island. Our objective as a community is to create designs for the built world that not only conserve the environment, but also preserve and enhance the lives of everyone, a symbiotic solution. The solutions are out there. We just have to implement them. Instead of designing better cars to reduce our carbon footprint, we can encourage businesses to allow employees to work from home and utilize teleconferencing technologies, which reduces the carbon footprint of many GoZitans, alleviates congestions on our roads, and softens the burdens of daily channel crossing to our families for the quality jobs that are scarce in Gozo. Rather than incorporating energy-efficient but expensive or complex heating and cooling systems, we could design buildings that rely less heavily on these systems or not at all. Better management of precious rainfall and infrastructure that resists effects of desertification. We can give development incentive to those who create sustainable solutions. These are the game changers, the concepts that have the potential both to alleviate environmental concerns and to improve our lives and community. And they come with a variety of bonuses as well, as they offer the most interesting design possibilities because they represent fertile new territory and opportunities. We must begin a virtuous cycle to systematically improve our natural environment, our built environment, which strengthens our economy, our community, and which keeps the talented on the island with quality jobs. Thank you.